You know how I know this thing is going to be fun? Says so on the box. Welcome back to the Skilled Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. Today we're taking a first look, run and review of the new Traxxas Funco Sand Car. And here it is, taking over all of the space I have in this room. I'm going to move it off of the bench and put it back here so we can get a better look at it together. Because this thing is awesome. It looks so wild and I cannot wait to take it outside. But before we do that, we got to get a good look at it. So let's get it over here and organize this all a bit better. Stand by. Oh, I should not have skipped ab day. Ooh. There we go. Ish. Wow. Okay, so here it is, a fully licensed Funco Sand Car from Traxxas. It's big. I'm not really sure that they've put a scale against it, but I'm going to say 6th, maybe even 5th. It's quite large. It is a looker though. Wow. It comes in a bunch of different colors: blue, orange, green, red. It's not cheap. It's a very expensive car, and a lot of people have been complaining that it's a one-trick pony. Well, guess what? So are boats, planes, on-road cars. There's a few that aren't one-trick ponies, but I don't mind that this is, because it is wild. It is purpose-built. It is meant for exactly what it is on the box, a sand car. Two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive only, big, huge paddle tires, which you cannot see because the camera isn't over there enough. There we go. Big, huge paddle tires in the rear. They are belted, so they aren't going to balloon up from all of the power. This is an 8S capable sand car, so it is going to put a lot of power to those rear tires, and I'm curious to see how well those belts and tires hold up to all of the speed and torque that this thing is going to offer. It's got a ton of scale details, which really appeals to me, being this scale bashers guild. It's got front disc brakes, which is really super cool. We'll do a bit of a teardown and we'll get a better look at all of these things before we take it outside and get it all filthy, because we are going to run it in as much sand as I can possibly find in downtown Toronto. There is some, so I'm not too worried about it. Like I said, lots of scale details. There are shock reservoirs, there are 2 drivers, there are rear seats, there are these really awesome whip antennas here. These are, I guess, mainly designed, they do light up, but they're mainly designed to help other people who are on the dunes see this vehicle as it's coming up over a dune so they don't get in each other's way. So they're really cool. They've built in this nice spring system, so when you inevitably flip this car over, you won't ruin these light bars, which is very cool. Light whips, if you will. Let's do a little spin around. We'll get another look here at some of the other scale details. Oh, I am going to hurt tomorrow. On the back here, as you can probably see, and I'll get some close-ups of this, there is a full scale motor on the back here. This is a very large, I believe the real Funco sand cars have about 1,100 horsepower or so. If I'm wrong, please correct me down below in the comments. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of those comments as I can. But it's nice that Traxxas took the time to what is effectively partially an XRT. It's nice to see that they went that extra mile and added a lot of these scale details. They didn't have to, but I think as part of their pro-scale lineup, they really want to try to make this as realistic looking as possible, yet still have all the performance capability of something in their sort of XRT, X-Max sort of world. And it's really cool to see that, because honestly, that wasn't something they needed to do. So I'm glad they did. Very, very cool. Wheelie bar on the back here with some bearing retained wheels, because this thing is definitely going to wheelie. I really do like the overall look of it. I think the livery is fantastic in red. Like, look at that. It's just so pretty. They did a really, really good job. If I have one complaint about the scale details and the look of this, it's the fact that the drivers are so shiny. I would really love to see a matted out finish on an interior in one of these cars, because honestly, that sort of patent leather look is a little off-putting. Let's get it on the bench and we'll get some close-ups and detail shots, and I'll take you through some of the mechanicals of this sand car. Let's go over some of the details here. Again, like I said, XRT based. Different front end, of course, because it's only two-wheel drive. But a lot of things have also changed in the gearing and the whole transmission and how all of that works. So we'll get into that later on. But yes, overall, very large, very in charge. Love these paddle tires. I think they look amazing. The Funco branding on those is pretty cool. That's really neat. These are obviously a faux beadlock. They are glued on. 17 mil hex all around. Up front, we've got these sand-specific tires. These look really cool. Again, it's all about performance and it's all about speed and efficiency of this driveline. So they've really kind of done their homework here. The springs in the rear are much more firm than the ones up front. You get a lot more travel up front under less load. In the rear, the idea there, of course, is because this thing is going to be doing a lot of this, when most of that power and weight was put over the rear tires, it wasn't going to bottom out the suspension. So that's why the springs are a lot more firm in the rear. Some nice little scale details, including some shifters in there, drivers, of course. Drivers have separately molded heads, so you can move them around as much as you like. And then all of this body is held on with some come hither milady clips. I can never remember quite exactly where they are. No, they're down here, and then the other one's right there. And we'll do that on the other side and take this whole assembly off, which is actually very easy. So now you can get at the entire chassis just with 4 clips. There's the inside of the body. You can see there's a lot of plastic cage in there to keep everything nice and rigid. I would imagine if there's going to be a failure point anywhere, it's going to be here, because there's a lot less material over that and shock assembly. But overall, I think because of the way that these are keyed into the shock towers, that it might actually not be that big of a problem. Note that the light whips are a separate piece that you have to install when you buy the car. But as you can see, very easy to assemble that. The roof comes off first, then the light whips go in, they screw in, and then this whole roof screws back on. Pretty easy to do, but also, like I said, there's a nice heavy-duty spring back system in there, so these won't typically, under most conditions, break off. But yeah, nice solid cage. They plug into the output on the ESC through this power bank accessory supply here, and yeah, not much else to it on the inside. I do also like that big rear wing. I think that's a nice touch. And you'll notice that the Traxxas lettering is kind of like it's upside down if you're looking at it this way. But I think it's because most people will be doing this. And then you'll be able to read it quite easily. If you are interested in segways, perhaps you should check out the channel membership, where I do all kinds of behind-the-scenes content, tips and tricks, travel logs, and you get a lot of content, even this video, before everybody else does. So if you're interested in that, link down below. Support the channel, become part of the community. It's a great giving place where you will learn all kinds of things. Ask a member. They know. These are them. So thank you to all of these ding-dongs for being a part of the Gold Level Ding Dong YouTube membership program. Back to the video. So taking a look at the chassis, you can definitely see where the DNA of this vehicle came from, as long as you look from here backwards and don't include that. That's an XRT. You can tell by the shock towers, you can tell by the battery trays, you can tell by where the electronics are placed, and then they've recreated the whole front end in a whole new way. So this is an all new design from what I know. I'm going to take off one of the tires here so you can get a better look at some of the features of these disc brakes, because this is a pretty unique system. I can't remember the last time I saw something like this on a vehicle. Short of what, I guess some ARMA vehicles have, like the fire team has a rear disc brake to lock out the rear wheels. This is obviously for the front to help in braking. But there you go, a nice big shiny disc brake with a whole disc brake assembly. This is going to not be actuated by hydraulics, of course, but by cables. And these cables route up in through here into this assembly here. And there is a servo behind the receiver box that will pull these back. And let me see, I'll get power to this, and we'll do a demonstration on how that works here in a second. On initial startup, the fans are going on the Volinion system because it needs to, because that is a lot of motor. 8S power, of course. And there's also a fan on the VXL 8S, so tons of power at the ready. All right, so now I can show you how the brakes work here. If we accelerate a little bit, you can pull back in reverse, and you can see that the servo is pulling on these brake cables, and that's working absolutely perfectly. Fantastic. What a nice, easy-to-use system. Now, one of the things they mentioned, let me shut this off for a second. Okay, so Traxxas recommends that this is going to be run in very fine powdery sand to basically reduce the amount of overall braking by reducing the amount of pressure that will be applied to the pads or applied to the disc from the pads via these cables. So I've already done it on one side. You can see that there's more of the thread showing right in there on the actual ball cup. So what you do is you basically pull this off. I'll do it on this side just so you can see. You pull off the ball cup, you grab the cable with your pliers by the brass collar there, and then you just loosen this by 8 turns. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then you put that back on, and you should be good to go. That is completely reliant on the type of terrain that you're going to be driving your sand car on. If it's a coarse sand or dirt or mud or cement, I'll get into that in a minute, but if you're going to be running it on a road, you don't need to do this. This is only for very fine, powdery, dune-style sand. That's going to help reduce the amount of sand that could get clogged in between the pads and the disc. So that's how that works. You can also reduce the amount of preload on this shock, which will help reduce the amount of pressure that is applied to the brakes as well. So just another way to do it for more adjustment, but this is specific to very fine powdery sand. Here's another really good look at this motor. You can see that it is like the full block with exhaust tips and everything. It's even got some faux belts and pulleys and everything. So they really did make this look as realistic as possible. I thought that was a really nice touch, and it could do with some weathering. It's a little bit, plasticky and could use a bit of wiring, looms and whatnot to make it really kind of shine, but I think pretty good effort for the fact that this is mainly going to be bashed hard. One thing that I'm not super keen on, but I can appreciate, are these chromed out suspension arms. These are obviously not aluminum, they're plastic, and they've been chromed to look like they're metal. One thing that I saw happen right away in RC Driver's video was any amount of running on the sand is going to result in basically scrubbing all of this chrome off of these suspension arms. So right away, it's going to already look a bit worn. Had they just molded them in black plastic, that probably wouldn't be an issue. What I think they could have done, considering that for each vehicle that is a specific color, they've got red shock bodies, they've got red beadlock rings, they've got the red body, of course. Why not mold these in red, or the respective color for each model? Red, orange, blue, green. That would look pretty cool, I think. And maybe that's something they're going to offer in the future. It would obviously do a lot better with the grinding off of all of this chrome from the sand, because that wouldn't happen, especially if they were molded in those colors. Regardless, it is kind of cool looking, but I don't think it's going to last very long on my car either. I should mention that it is a Metal Gear high torque servo for steering. I think it's just a 2075 for the braking mechanism up front, but again, this is just a very simple system, doesn't need a ton of torque, just enough to pull the calipers to the disc. So why don't we take a look at the transmission? I'll pull off this transmission cover up here and we'll get a better look at that next. Tell me those light whips don't look amazing. That is so rad. I love that. I think that's such a cool feature. I can't wait to run this at dusk, and I really hope that they add a secondary lighting kit to maybe add like a light bar up front. It would be cool if they were old school Casey daylighters. That would be so awesome. Wow, that is greasy in there. There's some heavy duty grease going on, and you can see some pretty heavy duty metal as well. Let's get this back case off and I'll show you even more, but this is serious. This is not a joke. All right, and there you go. You can see it's well greased from the factory, not any issues there. And it's definitely going to be a very robust system. You can tell that those gears are mean. You wouldn't want to get your finger in there, that's for sure. One final look at the motor and the brushless system here. This is wild. Just look at all of those fins. It's got quite the aluminum heatsink on it, and dual fans coming off of it as well. It is a serious motor, 1275 kV. So it's a pretty substantial motor. It's going to be a lot on 8S. Apparently it still does quite well on 6S as well if you don't have a lot of 4S batteries sitting around. This is a Traxxas TQI receiver, which you can see has TSM, which is Traxxas Stability Management, which means that under very extreme driving, the car, as it sort of shimmies side to side or starts to lose control, the wheels will counteract that, sort of like a gyro, to try to help keep you going straight. I don't know how that's going to react when it's wheeling through the air, though. I think you just have to kind of accelerate and pray. Getting at the servos does appear to be a bit of a thing. I'm not exactly sure how to get into those areas. I presume after going through the instructions, you may have to remove this whole front bulkhead, or maybe, just maybe, I don't think so. I was going to say maybe it's easier to access from the bottom, but it sure doesn't look that way. So I think it'll be removing a fair number of screws to get at those steering elements to replace the servo if that ends up going bad on you. There's another shot at those nicely chrome-plated suspension arms, though they do look really cool, but I think they're only going to look cool for a very short amount of time. I touched on this briefly when I started the video, that people were complaining that this is a one-trick pony. Well, it actually kind of totally isn't, because while it does come with sand paddle tires, you can get regular rear tires. These are the Gravix belted tire, and these are an option you can get for the Funco Sand Car to turn it into not a sand car. So you could drive this on all sorts of different conditions, not just sand or snow. I guess the paddles would work great in snow. If I still had snow, I'd be running it in that. See if it really is a two-trick pony. Included in the box is your TQI controller. This should come as no surprise to you any longer. Very basic controller. I would love to see Traxxas do an update on these. It's time. I think it's been forever since I remember this radio. It'd be great to get something that was a little easier to control one-handed, as well as something a little more digital and a lot less analog. Be cool to see them do that. Most importantly, we get a warranty card, which you should definitely fill in and send in. A couple of warnings about what not to do, as well as a nice full-color manual. Now, this manual is decent, but it's not as good as the one that they feature online on their website, which I will put a link to down below. It's got a lot more information, especially about how to adjust the front braking system for different terrain. So that's sort of key. There is also an optional gearing set that I honestly don't think you'll need. I mean, maybe you will if you want to take it on road and do do speed runs and whatnot, but how it's set up from the factory is probably going to be the way I'm going to leave it. You also get a couple of hex wrenches as well, and if you had to use these, that would be absolute torture. I actually use the Traxxas tips in my DeWalt, so maybe get a set of those. Is something like this on your radar, or is it just too big, too fast, too cool for you? It's almost too cool for me. Put a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback, and I try to answer as many of those comments as I can. And of course, if you're enjoying this video and you like to see reviews of big, giant, crazy sand cars, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get updates anytime there's a new video from the Scale Builders Guild. I'm super excited to get this out. It's so big, it's so wild, and I think it's just going to be so much fun outside. Enough talking about it, enough showing you all the things on it. Let's take it outside and see how it does. All right, second location, a familiar location, and still a bit sandy, so I think this counts. A little more hard pack, but still sand, okay? And still a total blast as well. This is actually a little more space, and because it's a little more packed, whoa! I'm finding it's a little more easy to control. And obviously it's because you're getting a little more traction with those tires up front than you would on straight sand. But I think we can still get it to roost. Oh. so mean. What a mean machine. I love this thing. Wow. That is so great. Wow. Oh my gosh, it's so aggressive. I honestly feel like, oh no. That was quite the tumble. Oh my gosh. All right, let's go down into this sandy bit down here, since we're already halfway down. And I think this sort of like combination sand is a little more my speed. And I mean that in terms of like able to control it a bit better, able to move it around a bit more. It's probably not the best conditions for the paddle tires, but still getting plenty of traction, so that's not really a big deal. It's it's wild. It's really wild. I like it a lot. Oh my God. Wow. Man, oh man. That is so fun. How are those brakes working? Oh yeah, really well. They stop this thing very aggressively, very quickly. Those light whips look awesome. It's a really good looking vehicle. And in a nice big open space like this with nobody around, yeah, it's fun. I like this thing a lot. Those brake discs get warm too, wow. Ooh, and I cracked the body. Just a minor little crack right there. Not protected by that front bumper. That's okay. Could be worse. Yeah, the advice to not stand directly behind this when you hit the throttle is accurate. Wow, oh my gosh. Wheelies. Wheelies for days. That thing is so wild. Well, there's good evidence right there that those whip antennas are doing their job and not breaking off. That's great. I think we'll leave the Gravix tires for another video, maybe just like a short one or something, or a follow-up on what's on the bench, because this thing is just so much fun with these paddles on it. Oh, so good. That one almost got me. It's trying to kill me. Yeah, I love this thing. Let's see. Let's go all the way over here. See what kind of sustained wheelie we can do. Not there. Reverse is hilarious because the paddles just don't have any traction at all. This is so frightening. Yikes! Oh my goodness. The problem is you cannot steer with it in the air like that. Ah! Oh, jeez. All right, no sustained wheelies for today. But this has been a first look, run and review of the new Traxxas Pro-Scale Funco Sand Car, and it is definitely fun. I'm glad they put that in the name because it is worth that fun. Very cool front braking disc system, power for days, and man, it just looks so good out there in the sand. I think this thing is just wild. Any disadvantages? Well, those front brakes can be a little finicky from time to time. You might have to clear out the dirt to get them to function properly so you're not just pushing those front tires around. The chrome, let's see how the chrome is holding up. Oh, not well. Pretty sandblasted, as you would expect. So yeah, I would have probably suggested a molded in color. I think that would have been a much better idea. Very robust though. You saw me do some things you probably shouldn't do with it. Like hit things, crash into things, but it's super fun. I really like it a lot. I can't wait to get out to an even better location that just lets us rip this thing. If you've got any ideas for a location like that in Southern Ontario or Northern Ontario, Canada, put a comment down below. You know I love reading through your feedback. Try to answer as many of those comments as I can. And of course, if you're enjoying this video and you like big cars like this one, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell so you always get an update anytime there's a new video from the Scale Builders Guild. Thank you so much for watching. This has been an absolute blast. We'll see you again soon.